macronutrients we need in our diet is carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. However, in order to gain muscle, protein is one of the main macronutrients that you need. Protein contains amino acids. Amino acids are like bricks to a wall. Without the bricks, the wall can't be made. Similarly, that is the role of protein when it comes to gaining muscle. It's extremely important, and we need to consume the right amount in order to see an increase in our muscle mass. In order to gain muscle mass, you need to be in a calorie surplus. First, you need to calculate your maintenance calories. Your maintenance calories refers to the calories an average man or a woman needs to survive in the day. The way you do that is to multiply the current kgs you weigh into a range between 31 to 35. If you have high levels of body fat, you multiply it by numbers like 31 or 32. If you have lower levels of body fat, you multiply the current kgs you weigh by numbers like 33, 34 or 35. Once you have your maintenance calories, you need to increase this by at least 200 calories the first month. As you progress towards gaining muscle mass, we need to increase the number of calories we consume, because all of these calories will account for the protein in our body, it will account for the muscle we are building in our body. The daily requirement for protein is 56 grams per day if you're a male, and it is 46 grams per day if you're female. This is the daily requirement for an average male or female. However, if you're looking to gain muscle, you'll have to multiply 1.6 into the number of kgs you currently weigh. For example, if I am 65 kgs, then I will multiply 1.6 into 65, which is 104 grams. 104 grams is the amount of protein I need every day to build muscle. Of course, as you are building muscle, the amount of protein you need changes, and it always depends upon your goals. But the general formula is 1.6 into the number of kgs you currently weigh per day. That's the formula. So now that we know everything about protein, why do you think is it essential to consume fruits and vegetables? Because fruits and vegetables contain important digestive enzymes which activate pepsin in the stomach. These help with the protein absorption. For example, if you're consuming grilled chicken on a plate, it is more advisable to have bell peppers, broccoli, lettuce, or some form of green vegetable around it, because while you are consuming the chicken, the veggies will help you absorb the protein from the chicken in a really good way. So some of the foods which help with protein absorption are foods that are rich in vitamin C, for example, orange or orange juice, kiwis, pineapples, mangoes. These are foods which are very important for protein absorption. They necessarily do not contain protein, but they help you absorb protein from your other meals. Other examples of foods that help with protein absorption are 1-2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in the morning or 30 minutes before a meal. Other spices such as ginger and cinnamon also help with protein absorption. So are BCAAs really necessary to gain muscle? BCAAs usually come in tablet and powder-based formats. They stand for branched chain amino acids. Now they combine three main amino acids: valine, isoleucine, and leucine. BCAAs are really essential if you are trying to increase your protein absorption and increase your muscle mass. But when you are looking to gain muscle mass in the start, whey protein is quite enough as a resource, because whey protein in general also contains BCAAs. So this is a common misconception that not a lot of people know. There are natural foods through which you can increase the BCAAs in your body. Some of these foods are milk, tofu, eggs, lean meat options, salmon, whole wheat foods including quinoa or brown rice are also very effective in increasing the leucine in your diet. So coming back to the question, whether it is essential, whether it is really necessary, in my personal opinion, when you first begin to gain muscle mass, whey protein is a good source. If you're not able to meet your protein targets, if you're not seeing a change in your body after following a workout plan, that is when you can see if BCAA is helping. So there are lots of vegetarian sources of protein. For example, quinoa, which is actually a seed and not a grain, is a great source of complete protein, complete plant protein. Other sources of plant protein is pea protein powders, which are available in the market. Tempeh, which is a fermented soy-based product, is also a good source of protein. Paneer, often known as cottage cheese, is a good source of protein. Greek yogurt, some vegetables such as broccoli, spinach are also good sources of vegetarian sources of protein. Within the nut butters, almond nut butter has a good source of protein. Even rice and beans together, when they're eaten together, are a good source of protein because rice by itself is too low in lysine, which is an amino acid. So hence it is good to combine rice with lentils or beans such as chickpeas, kidney beans, etc. So these are some of the good vegetarian sources of protein. The first few things we need to do is to calculate your maintenance calories. The way you do that is multiply the current weight that you have in kgs by a number between 31 to 35. The reason that there is a range is because the body fat levels differ in different individuals. If you have a higher body fat, you multiply by a lower number like 31 or 32. If you have a lower body fat percent, then you multiply by numbers like 33, 34 or 35. Once you calculate the maintenance calories, to achieve fat loss, you reduce the maintenance calories by 200. That is your starting point. And as you go along your training, you can concentrate on these calorie counts and reduce the number of calories by 500. That's how you can concentrate on gaining muscle, but also on fat loss at the same time. The second most important thing is to make sure that you're having good amount of protein. And the way to do that is from our previous session, which is 1.6 into the number of kgs you currently weigh. That is the amount of protein you need to consume regardless of your maintenance calories. Once you concentrate on your maintenance calories, let's move on to training. In order to achieve fat loss, there is a lot of research that HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training, contributes to fat loss. Another important thing we need to make sure is our protein distribution, is the amount of protein and carbs that we have between our workouts, and we need to consume our meal after workout at least in the next hour, not to delay it any further. These are some of the tips that you need to concentrate on both gaining muscle mass and to lose fat. Protein is super important to gain muscle. But another important criteria that we need to fulfill is protein distribution throughout our day. Protein is not just important to gain muscle, but also to sustain muscle. Imagine if I'm consuming all my protein in the morning for breakfast and lunch, and by dinner I'm not consuming enough protein. This means that you are building up the muscle, but you are not helping the muscle sustain when it's breaking down after the workout. This is why we need to distribute our protein throughout the day. For example, if I require 120 grams of protein per day, just as an example, then I would have to distribute my protein throughout the day at each of my meals. I would need roughly 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast, 25 to 30 grams of protein at lunch, and the same for dinner. Hence, we are remaining with 30 additional grams of protein. Those 30 grams are extremely important for muscle development, and the way you can add that is through a protein snack, through a protein shake before your workout, or just any meal which is very easy to make right before your workout. That's how you can distribute your protein throughout the day. Let me clear this misconception once and for all. Women, you will not get bulky if you work towards gaining your muscle mass or if you lift weights as well. The reason is very scientific. There's a hormone called testosterone, which is abundantly present in men, and it is in very little quantities in women. For women, the main hormone is estrogen. So what happens when we as women try to gain muscle mass, we see a very little physical difference, but it is an extremely good benefit for our body. Now, why should women consume a high protein diet? Why should women constantly look towards gaining muscle mass? It's because as we age, we lose our muscle mass. Our bones are having a stronger exposure to the environment. And if, God forbid, we go through any accident or fall, the direct impact comes on our bones and it makes our body weaker in general. That is why our main goal as we age should also be to concentrate on our muscle mass. So for women who love to lift weights, please continue to do so. And for women who haven't tried it yet, I think you're missing out. You should try.